Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is change of scenery, renewal of spirit, where we can create a reboot for ourselves, a new perspective, and recreate our vitality and aliveness. So that's what today's topic is. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light, lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling when you stop. And allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, Rosalind. I am so glad to have you joining us. Welcome, and welcome to everybody else who's joining us. I've been on vacation, and hence our topic, change of scenery, renewal of spirit. So it occurs to me that it's very easy for life to become mundane, to become routine, where we can feel disconnected and kind of like we're just going through the motions and just not present to our aliveness or to the magic that's possible in life. And there's nothing like a change of scenery or uplifting yourself from one context and putting yourself into another to create that shift, that change of perspective. And yes, vacation is sort of a dramatic change like that, where we get a dramatic separation from the routines of every day. And that's a lovely thing. We don't all have the opportunity to do that all the time, but we can create these shifts of perspective for ourselves. So what does it take to do that? It's really, more than anything, it's a shift of mind, because we could go on vacation and take all our worries with us, right? Or we can be in a situation where we maybe have a couple hours or a day to be able to gift ourselves a different perspective, a vacation, so to speak. But we can create that for ourselves consciously. We can create that for ourselves consciously, even through ritual, by choosing to lay down our concerns, even momentarily, like to give ourselves a space of an hour or a couple hours where we just step outside of our constrained environment, where maybe we literally go outside. Where maybe we find a quiet place to meditate, perhaps, where we give ourselves the mental vacation to pull ourselves away from the demands to create some sense of renewal and new aliveness. So I wonder, I what I notice is on vacation, a level of magic happens that is not typical in my day-to-day life. And I'm looking with you to see if we can discover what it is that creates that magic, what it is that allows us to conjure up beautiful synchronicities and connections that might not have otherwise been there. And what I think about when I look at this vacation phenomena, I want to see how we might be able to bring that into our everyday lives, the magic that can happen. And I don't know if that magic is there for everybody when they go away, so to speak. But I think that there's, for me anyway, creating an expectation of adventure, creating an anticipation of what the unknown is going to serve up, rather than nervousness and anxiety, just sort of welcoming and embracing the possibilities of the unknown. And it occurs to me that that unknown is available to us all the time, but we don't live that way. In fact, the unknown is really the truth of our situation, but we live life in a way that is very predictable. And maybe it is that when we step out into a different environment, when we step onto the plane of conceiving of a vacation, so to speak, well, we're actually embracing the unknown in a conscious way, and we're dancing with it in a way that we don't ordinarily dance with it. That in our day-to-day, rather than anticipating the unknown, we're anticipating continuity and predictability, I think. And it seems, as I'm thinking about it in the moment, it seems that that predictability is a magic killer. You know, that we're not listening, we're not for the opportunities, we're not open to the potentials in the same way as when we're on an adventure. And so I'm wondering if maybe we can all source in ourselves this space of anticipation and interest in dancing with the unknown, rather than trying to fend it off. You know, and so much of our lives are trying to maybe control life, to manage life, rather than to allow its unfolding and to embrace it with curiosity and a positive anticipation rather than fear. I think it's easy to get caught in anxiety, right? It's easy to be focusing ourselves and our attentions on worry and instead, life can be so much more vital. We can be so much more vital when we allow ourselves to face our days and our opportunities with an excitement of anticipation. Like, what's today going to bring? And we don't have to be on vacation to do that. We can create our state of being outside of circumstance. And we can also create circumstances that bring us that, or that facilitate that kind of mental state. Even just taking a walk, maybe even just meditating, or listening to music, or listening to music and dancing is going to create a different state, right? Meditating is going to create a different state. If we allow ourselves to step outside of our everyday concerns, if we allow ourselves to not be ruminating over and over and over about the things that are troubling us, what happens is, when we're troubled, rather than finding a place of trust and curiosity, what we tend to do is just end up in a loop of concern and consideration, and we end up reinforcing the feelings, the negative emotions, the tension, the stress. And what we can gift ourselves with is stepping outside of those concerns, finding a place of curiosity. I think that's one of the things that shifts on vacation, where we know we're in for an adventure of some sort. Again, I don't know if this is true for you, but this is true for me, in that I set out on an adventure. And when I do that, magic kind of happens. Lots of magic happens, because I'm showing up in a different way. I'm showing up with an openness for experience and for an unfolding. And I think that that's available, accessible to all of us all the time. It's just that we don't remember that. So the question is, how can we remind ourselves? How can we remember our vitality? How can we remember to be curious? How can we step outside the habitual patterns? And sometimes it takes a change of physical venue to actually go someplace unfamiliar, to actually create the opportunity for an adventure, to remind us that that's available all the time. And put ourselves in situations maybe to meet new people. Like, that's something that happens on vacation, perhaps, unless you're going to a silent retreat, for example. But there are encounters that occur for me anyway, on vacation that I don't think I would have normally had the space for in day to day. And it occurs to me, well, why not? Let's make that space. And what's it going to take to make that space? You know, changing our environment, even changing, rearranging the furniture, so to speak, to shake things up, to shake us out of the routine that holds us, that keeps us in a holding pattern, so to speak. I wonder what becomes available when we really allow ourselves to move things around, shake things up. Spaces and places are important, and how we experience them, how we relate to them is something that we can shift and change. We really, by moving around the furniture, for example, we are really changing the movement of energy in that space. So that can be a wonderful thing. Spring cleaning, I know that I dug deeply into that before I went away, and there was a profound renewal in it, to be able to move through and lighten up, to get rid of things that were just taking up space, that weighed on me, even though I didn't even realize it. You know, like the corners that still need cleaning out, they have an influence on us, even though we might not be conscious of it. So I'm wondering what, I think the first thing is that it takes a will. And I'm wondering, do you have the will to shake things up a little bit? Like what might come up out of shaking things up? I know there can be a resistance to that, because, you know, as mundane as life can be, there's certain security in the continuity of it. There's certain security in the predictability of it. But what if what's available if we shake things up a little bit? If we create the unknown for ourselves, it brings a spark of life to have to address that unknown. And with that spark of life, there's an aliveness that is the root of who we are. I think it's so easy to go numb. It's so easy to lose our vitality in the day-to-day routine. And there's so much more available to us in terms of our potential, in terms of our capacities and capabilities. There's so much more that we can embrace to create our lives, not to survive our lives, because ultimately we don't, but to actively be creators in the unfolding of our lives. What does that look like? What would it look like to be a vital force, to be living into and from the life spark that we are, the vitality that is available to us? There's, I'm not remembering the exact phraseology of this saying, but it's something there, like, there's nothing true that thinking doesn't make it so. And recognizing that we have this remarkable gift to create experience, to create our lives, to create the reality that we live in. When we start connecting deeply to that, what's possible? What's possible? Or maybe what's not possible, like there's such an unfathomable possibility for what we can create, and the limits that we experience are limits of our making, and understanding that goes very, 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 very deep. It's there are universes available to us, and we do have the ability to step back and revel. Actually, why not revel in the creation that we are creating? Why not step back and look at is the life that I'm living as robust as I can make it? And if not, what will it take? What will it take to step out, to step beyond the limits that we have imposed on ourselves? What's it going to take to discover that we're not bound by the things that we bind ourselves with in so many ways? What's it going to take to live on the edge, to push the edges? Because when we push those edges, or when we experience those edges, that's where the growth is. That's where the vitality is. That's where the transformation and potential is at our edges, like where there's that tingling, that anticipation, not anxiety, but the stepping just to the edge, like pushing the edge of the comfort zone. There's so much there. There's so much available there for all of us. And that's where we find our truest expression. Our fullest expression is stepping into that richness, stepping into the pit-a-pat of the heart a little bit, to have maybe like maybe a little anxiety, but it's anticipation, it's outweighed by excitement, like challenging ourselves to step beyond. What does it look like? And know that when we do that, we're opening up a whole new world. We're opening up a whole new set of potentials and possibilities. And when we can find that place of curiosity and openness, even our day-to-day lives can be filled with magic, can be filled with beautiful synchronicities, can be filled with winks from the universe, can be filled with collaboration with life that enriches and enlivens and emboldens us to be who we came here to be. So I guess what we're talking about is being willing to dream our dreams and to step into them, to create the change of perspective, maybe physically, to create within ourselves that curiosity, that openness, that expectation of adventure, not with an expectation that's specific of what it's meant to look like, but knowing that this is a grand adventure that we are engaged in, that we are experiencing. And it's a 10-ticket ride, at the amusement park. And we can embrace it for all of its roller coasters and tilt-a-whirl, right? We can embrace it, and we can expand into it and source our curiosity and rise to the invitation that life offers us. So I invite all of us to be in this curiosity, this adventure. Let's embrace the adventure. And I think that's it for today. So Rosalind, thanks again so much for being here. I really appreciate you deeply. And you made my day. And welcome and thank you to everybody else who's joined us for these morning musings on what it is to be human. So it's a privilege and a pleasure as always. And so until next time, so much love.